This is the WAGS documentary presentation by Nick Imler, Lucas Buchli, and Peter Coleman for AP Human Geography. Our inquiry question is, what is the relationship between globalization and traditional religion/belief systems throughout the world? Globalization and religion while being two very different things, i.e., one is a belief system and the other is a geographical trend, have a surprisingly mutual and very beneficial relationship. Globalization lets religious beliefs and traditions spread throughout the world, while religion drives people to spread their beliefs to others. Humans have been moving creatures since the beginning of time. Our ancestors were nomads who traveled great distances in order to survive, find shelter, and find food. It is in our nature that we explore. In terms of religion started around 3200 BC. Since then, globalization has caused some religions to spread all over the globe, and others to stay in their founding areas. In this presentation, we will explain how Christianity and globalization have influenced each other, how different religions affect globalization, and the main examples of globalization in society today. The understanding of this will assist with the predictions of the future, comprehension of our past, and will help us gain knowledge in the present.
On this slide, I will be talking about some of the historical background regarding globalization. The picture on the right is just showing the spread of globalization throughout the world. Globalization is an historical process that began with the first movement of people out of Africa into other parts of the world. Traveling short or long distances, migrants, merchants, and others have delivered their ideas, customs, and products to new lands. Some early signs of globalization were mixing of cultures, sharing ideas, and trade through conquered lands throughout the world. The first wave of globalization roughly occurred over the century, ending in 1914. By the end of the 18th century, Great Britain had started to dominate the world geographically, through the establishment of the British Empire, and technologically with innovations like the steam engine, the industrial weaving machine, and more. Although globalization is not new, political, economic, and technological developments in the 1990s accelerated the processes of globalization and contributed to the beginning of a public debate about its advantages and disadvantages. The resulting globalization was obvious in numbers. For about a century, trade grew an average 3% per year. That growth rate increased exports from a share of 6% of global GDP in the early 19th century to 14% by the end of World War I. In the early decades after World War II, institutions like the European Union and other free trade nations by the U.S. were responsible for much of the increase in international trade.
Now we will investigate the correlation between globalization and Christianity. Since Christianity is a universal religion, globalization has had a major effect on Christianity. Christianity was founded around the time of Jesus' death, 2,000 years ago. Back then, trade routes were the easiest way for information to be spread. These trade routes helped globalize Christianity from the Middle East into Eastern Europe. Over time, new inventions also helped spread Christianity. The printing press, a major invention created in the 15th century, revolutionized how information was spread. It allowed for sacred books, like the Bible, to be made into copies and spread throughout the world. The many agricultural revolutions also made an impact on religion. People spent less time finding food and had the opportunity to focus on other elements of life. These elements include religion, art, and technology. Speaking of technology, globalization takes the form of technology in the present day. The Roman Catholic Church, a branch of Christianity, is one particular point to focus on. The Roman Catholic Church has an official website, which also helps users find nearby churches to attend. It gives lots of information regarding the religion, with in-depth descriptions of each pope. Plenty of information about Christianity can be found on the internet, giving anyone a chance to become a Christian. As you can see on the graph, most Christians are located in developed countries. Developed countries have access to cell phones and computers, which greatly spread Christianity. In developing countries, the lack of technology has caused Christianity to not completely spread, since technology has such a major effect on the globalization of Christianity. Globalization has helped Christianity become the biggest religion in the world, with over 2.3 billion followers. On the other hand, Hinduism is an example of how globalization does not affect religions that are ethnic. Hinduism, regarded as one of the oldest religions in the world, is based in India. Instead of a segment of their lives, someone who practices Hinduism expresses their religion as a way of life. This prevents the religion from spreading that much because it takes so much effort to practice. Similar to all ethnic religions, Hinduism is tied to the surrounding environment. If someone were to relocate, it would be difficult for them to continue to practice Hinduism because of a completely new environment. Since it is a way of life, other areas are not adapted or structured around Hinduism like they are in India. For example, if someone were to move from India to the United States of America, it would be very difficult for them to adapt. Festivals and celebrations, a major part of Hinduism, are much more difficult to pull off. Hindus are supposed to pray 5 times a day, which would be near impossible in the daily American life. For a Hindu child going to school, they would need a special, adjusted schedule to perform their daily prayers. Another factor preventing the spread of Hinduism is that both of a child's parents have to be Hindu in order for the child to be Hindu. You cannot simply convert to Hinduism, like many other religions. Unlike Christianity, the Hindus protect their information much more and are not as concerned about the number of followers. Instead of being found on the internet, the Hindus would rather have their sacred information passed down via heritage to preserve tradition. In conclusion, Hinduism's ethnic values are what have prevented globalization from having an effect on its spread.
On this slide, I will talk about the causes and courses of globalization. The picture is representing all different cultures around our world and the importance of coming together. The 3 main causes for globalization are trade, multinational production, and international finance. One major thing that made global travel easier was improved transport. Airplanes, trucks, and other forms of transportation all made travel and trade much easier and quicker. Improved transportation has made global travel easier as well. There's been a growth in air travel, which resulted in greater movement of people and goods across the world. This still occurs to this day and in our current time period. Globalization is the process of interaction and integration among people, companies, and governments worldwide. The main reasons it has grown is because of communication advancements, and transportation.
In conclusion, our inquiry question was, what is the relationship between globalization and traditional religion/belief systems throughout the world? And our answer to that is they both share a beneficial bond that generally allows each other to expand and advance. Religion will occasionally run into trouble because of effects of globalization, but overall, the two have a generally advantageous relationship.